Hello and welcome. Today we have a very exciting VOD review. We have a Grandmaster Hanzo and I believe Soldier 76, so this is super exciting. I've never done a Hanzo review before, so I'm super excited. I've never seen this video before, so I'll be commenting in real time. So let's get into it. So like I said, we're in King's Row. If you keep this comp, this is actually really interesting because you're going to have a very heavy backline in the McCree, Hanzo, and Zenyatta. Mercy would probably be bouncing a lot between you guys, and possibly with the tanks as well. That would be kind of risky. This comp has a bit of a disconnect in the fact that you're running the Winston and the Diva. I would probably switch one of those for a Reinhardt or an Orisa. This comp lacks a lot of flanking abilities. Like, you could maybe have Diva kind of do some kind of flanking maneuvers to pressure certain parts of the map, like on the sides of her opponents or behind them. I don't really like that. I think you need to kind of play this as if you did have like a Reinhardt, where you're going to slowly push forward, and you're going to have to be very patient with that. Obviously, you're going to be looking for picks as Hanzo and McCree. You're going to be looking to spam Dragon Strikes like crazy. On point A, that archway is a pretty good place to look for a Dragon Strike. As Hanzo, I'm going to want you... There's lots of good... This is a great map for you. There's lots of elevation to work with. You're going to kind of creep around that right side, slowly pushing forward with your team. Hopefully your Diva and Winston don't just like, just go turbo mode and just like jump in as if they had like a Genji or a Tracer. I see that all the time where players play... I think this is why players get so frustrated when teammates play off meta heroes, because they want to play the same style they've always been playing, right? Everyone wants to just stay in their comfort zone, and they don't want to take 2 seconds to think about, we don't have a Genji and a Tracer. We have a Hanzo and a McCree. Maybe I shouldn't dive in 24/7 and expect to get kills like I usually do as Winston, right? So, just as a side note, so we'll see what your team does, and let's get this going. Cool. Cool. All right, so no switches. Okay, cool. So you're sticking with the Reinhardt with the Winston and the Diva. They have an Orisa. Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of you taking this route over here on the left. That being said, it's not horrible. I want you to be very patient with looking for picks and whatnot. It's especially not so great because your Sonic arrow is down for 8 seconds. So like, you have no idea who's over here, right? There could be like a McCree just waiting to flashbang you or whatever. Just as an example, or like a Roadhog ready to hook you. Let me just make sure. So we saw a Zarya and a Orisa, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, what? That's weird. Okay, we'll start this again. Okay, so yeah, Orisa, Zarya. Okay, cool. So I'm not a huge fan of this. That being said, you have scatter arrow up, so let's look for a burst. Okay, no one's here. Okay, this is fine. Okay. A little aggressive with your positioning. So like, I would have liked to see you just stay back here, right? Like, there's no need to go forward unless you didn't trust your aim. So I need you to trust your aim, and Hanzo really excels at those mid-range distances, and you're kind of needlessly pushing forward. Like right here, like you don't really need to do that, right? Oh, and now you're just in it. Oh, and there's... Oh, is it behind you? Wait. Oh, it's above you. That turret. Oh, that's funny. Okay, and you're probably gonna die here, right? Nice kill on Orisa, though. This is hilarious. Oh, you missed that arrow. I am shocked that that worked. Nice kill, though. Okay, let's see that again. This is hilarious. Also, not a great scatter arrow, I think. You actually hit her body. But that's fine. And actually, they might have been bouncing off of the walls to get back on her. So, in my opinion, a very sloppy take. It worked out, so fine. However, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of that. I think as you play better opponents, and trust me, as you climb closer, I think you said you're 4100 SR. As you get closer to like 43, 44, your opponents won't give up stuff like that. So even now, I feel like you're still pretty aggressive. Oh, and did someone on your team switch? No. Okay, no, you're still running the Winston and the... Okay. So again, you're being so aggressive here. Like, I would kind of prefer you Well, where's my arrow? I would kind of just, in general, I'd prefer you to be like looking for flank like on this side somewhere. And then, you know, as the match goes on, as you push the payload forward, a flank on this side is available too. Right now, this is not available. So I would like to see you go for a flank on this side, definitely. Again, keeping like a mid-range distance and not being so aggressive. All right. Sorry, still high aggression, just not in terms of your spacing, not so close to your opponents, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for. And in terms of your Dragon Strike, excuse me, in terms of your Sonic arrows, see if you can get them a little bit deeper. So like you got it like right here, looks like, right? Like this little spot. And since you just came down, you actually have an opportunity to get it like in between the buildings and look for one just like, you know, a little bit deeper. I think that would be more valuable. You're gonna get more intel on their back line. You know, that being said, intel on their front line, not horrible. Aye. And actually, she hasn't. Let me see. Did she use her? Is it her right click? Her little graviton ball? Oh, she just used it right there. Okay, okay, cool. So you're safe for now, sort of. And here's the other thing too, right? Let's look at their comp again. I think you tracer. Okay, so they are running a tracer. So a really good tracer would be trying to flank you guys right now. I haven't seen her do that once, but Hanzo versus Tracer. Obviously, Hanzo has that matchup pretty much in his favor as long as he doesn't screw it up. For the most part, I would give that the advantage there to Hanzo. Obviously, a really skilled Tracer can outplay, and depending on cooldowns, etc., etc. But anyways, a really good Tracer is going to be using that right side flank that we talked about. So right now, you've been kind of lucky in the sense that like no one's been contesting your flanks. So again, I would want you to be doing that.
Someone on payload.
Oh, I'm not a big fan of that scatter arrow. Were you going for just a last kill onto Zarya? Oh, okay. Well, actually, I guess it wasn't that bad, and it sucked actually that your diva blocked your vision. It's gonna happen. Oh man, this is pretty funny because it feels like you're just playing. Yeah, this is a good Dragon Strike. It feels like you're playing Hanzo kind of like in like a bruiser style, and it is working. But if I'm being honest, it shouldn't be. It's good scatter arrow.
Nice Hanzo.
A little bit premature on that Sonic arrow. I'm not a huge fan of that. I would have liked to see you hold on to it for like another.
Nice Hanzo.
So you burned it. Now, 1, 2, 3. I would have burned it like right here, roughly. Like maybe as soon as you came up onto this window and then launched it down. Cool. Scatter arrow. Oh, nice. Yum. Oh, nice. Very good. You won't always hit those. Cool. Oh, another scatter arrow. Oh, darn. Great play. Great aim so far. Your aiming is excellent. Let me see right here. You have the Mercy buffing you. Yeah. So I think after you get this pick on the Lucio, and then as soon as the Tracer dies, you probably just back off, right? The payload's almost at the checkpoint, and then by doing this extra hyper aggression, like we talked about earlier, you haven't been punished for it, but now for the first time you have, and actually your team is maybe in danger of not getting this point. Oh yeah, res. Oh no, res. Oh, she missed you on the res, but she got the other two. So we'll see if your team gets this. But so in this entire match, this is the first time you've been punished for this super hyper aggressive, you know, bruiser style of Hanzo. You could have easily just, as soon as you got the Lucio and your McCree got the Tracer, could have just backed off and you know, and not backed off in the sense that, you know, stop being aggressive, but just put more space between you and your opponents, and still applying pressure from a safer distance, right? Okay, cool. So what happens here? Actually, it's unlikely that your team just lost 2, and I think, yeah. So you guys lost the McCree, the Diva, and the Mercy. So right here, when you're fighting this, not a whole lot of reason to do this. Again, you're being really aggressive. So this is number 2, right? Time number 2 where you're being too aggressive with your positioning. Cool. So Okay, so now what do you do? So now we talked about those flanking routes. So here we have 3 over here, 1 over here. Somebody flanking on the left. That's do you have a tracer? I think you have a tracer, right? I would probably follow up with that tracer. If you see any of my videos, you know I like teams to space out, attack from multiple angles. You have a pretty good... you and Tracer could be so deadly together. If you can back her up, you guys would be an unstoppable duo. So I would like to see you follow up with this Tracer and flank with her. Hopefully your team, in the comms, maybe you want to tell them like, hey, hold on guys, like I'm still coming back from spawn. Please don't like engage now. So just as a side note, because in this situation, teammates will get a little turbo and nice pick and get turbo and then push forward when they're not supposed to. Oh right, you don't have a Tracer, you have a McCree. So who is that on the left? Is that a diva? She's got armor. Well, whatever. Someone on the left there. I love it. Excellent pick. Nice. Good Dragon Strike. I like this Dragon Strike. It's great. Cool. So clearly you have the mechanical abilities. Your Hanzo is excellent in terms of like, you know, your aim, scatter arrows are on point. Sonic arrows seem okay, but positionally and timing wise, I'd like to see you go for deeper Sonic arrows, and that usually means waiting a little bit on them for that opportunity to get a nice one. So maybe I'm not a fan of like 2 of the Sonic arrows you've used, if I remember correctly. But you know, your Dragon Strikes are super on point. I'm a huge fan of your Dragon Strikes. You're getting them at a pretty good pace. So obviously that shows your proficiency on this hero. Go for high ground, go for high ground. Again, super bruiser style. We're getting super... This I don't mind. So I don't really like you doing this, but going for this high ground up here, totally valid. I love going for the high ground here. Yeah, this is great. In fact, you could even push to that other window and look for like any sneaky kills behind there, for any like, you know, Annas and Yadas or Mercies hanging out back there. That being said, what you're doing here is perfectly great. Look for a scatter arrow, or just go for the headshots. That works too. Look for a Sonic. Okay, good. Ooh. Oh, okay. So, after you kill this, wow, but you were kind of, okay. So, I would have liked to see you turn right to see who is threatening you from the other side. So, really good players, when they get a kill like this, or actually, you know, in between shots, in between kills, they're gonna quickly look around them to make sure they're not being flanked or anything like that. So right here, you totally tunnel vision on this. After you kill the soldier, you just look down and you don't look to see if anyone's to your right, you know, to that window to your right, or on the ground to your right. So two angles that you're totally neglecting. So, you know, I'd like you to just be a little bit more careful with your camera. And, you know, just to kind of push that thought even more, like, you know, maybe some, like, Widow could, like, peek up here somewhere, right? And you wouldn't see that. So just kind of small things like that. Should be a little bit more dynamic with your camera. Sonic Arrow is good. Yeah, so right now you just kind of push a little bit greedily, if that's a word. You're a bit greedy with your pushing. Okay, so you just got rezzed. Unfortunately, you fell down, so this is pretty crappy. I don't know how much health Orisa's ultimate has, but my gut feeling says try to kill it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, what your Hanzo arrows is 125. Yeah, actually, if I'm counting right, there's 5 bars. You could actually kill it with one fully charged Hanzo arrow, unless there's a sliver. Whatever. To be honest, you're probably gonna die here. Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Can we get a Zarya? I think that would be real good.
Yeah, we should really good.
Oh.
Oh shit, my bad.
You almost killed her though. Actually, it looks like... Oh, you canceled it. It looks like you tagged her. Let me see that one more time.
Yeah, we should really good.
Can we get a Zarya? I think that would be real good.
So I think you tagged her with 2 scatters, and 2 scatters would kill her, but I think you let go of the bow slightly too early, so she got away with a sliver of health. So small mechanical error. You know, again, or if you tag her with 3 scatters, then obviously that kills her. But so I wouldn't even really call that a misplay. Just kind of unfortunate because you were going for, you know, you had to react quickly. So, but at the same time, if you had held on to that for just like a slightly slightly longer, you might have killed her. You know, assuming you still, you know, aimed at her feet correctly. So I'm not going to harp on that. Cool. So I want you to go for high ground again on that same spot. Oh, where did you throw that sonic arrow? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Perfectly valid. Poking, poking, poking. Oh, let me see her. Where did she come from? I think she was hiding. She must have been hiding around here. Yeah, so you can hear her there. So it would have been nice if it would have been nice if you reacted a little bit more quickly to that. But honestly, well, actually, yeah, you know, if we're gonna really, you know, criticize every little detail here, yes, definitely, you probably should have been able to hear that more quickly, her footsteps, and then you might have been able to save this Zenyatta. So you know that we'll just put that on the list.
Oh, she has one health as well.
Okay, so I like this position. I think it's fine. You guys are still down a man, so you don't want to be too aggressive here. So let's talk about let's talk about that theme we talked about earlier about positioning. So earlier we said, or spacing rather, I mentioned that your spacing is hyper aggressive. You get really far forward, and just to kind of play devil's advocate, maybe you actually find this tracer, and you know, and maybe your Zenyatta doesn't die. Let's assume Tracer is hiding up here, right? She could also be hiding up here. That's, oops, up here, somewhere up there. But let's assume that you take one of those positions, one of these, you know, kind of more flanky areas where you're a bit safer. You have ground to cover. I would probably opt for this one, for this route. I would go here, and maybe if you do this, maybe you find that Tracer, and also you don't die. And you know, and if you continue to play with this area, maybe you don't die to this Mei. You know, that being said, this positioning has been better than what you were doing earlier, which was like super aggressive. This is a little bit less so, but you're completely ignoring this right side flank. So again, if you had been back more in that area we just talked about, you're safer. You're still putting out pressure and damage and sonic arrows. Yeah, so I'm not surprised you died there. Not a whole lot you can do in that situation after a res. And it's actually pretty funny because Mercy's not very effective in a comp like this where your DPS is extremely immobile. So, you know, McCree, Hanzo, once you get rezzed, you're kind of just like, oh crap, like I'm in the middle of the fight, not a whole lot I can do here. Again, like we're talking about this idea of spacing. As McCree and Hanzo, you want to kind of be at a safer mid-range distance and poke from there. You know, Mercy, really good rezzing on like, excuse me, her rezzes are very valuable when you're rezzing people like Genjis and Tracers and even Pharahs. We'll throw Pharahs in there. You know, obviously Winston's and Divas, but here, really the only great res target is Winston in the fact that he's a bit more mobile. But her rezzes are going to be super invaluable, you know, specifically on you and McCree. So just kind of as a side note tangent. And also just as a side note, that kind of makes your spacing even more critical, because if you do kind of get dove and you're a little bit further from your opponents, like from your opponent's backline specifically, then her reses are going to be more valuable. But if you're kind of already super pushed up, her reses are even less valuable, right? Like even more so. It kind of exacerbates that problem. It's good scatter. Nice. Oh,
wow.
Deja vu. So, yeah, remember how we talked about those two sides? We talked about that one, right? We talked about... Oops, no. Oh, I just totally messed up the time. Okay, we'll move forward. Darn, I totally forgot where we were. Reinhardt. I don't recall a Reinhardt. Okay, so that means... Oh, okay, cool. So, like we talked about earlier, there was those two paths that you could take, right? One was this high ground here. excuse me. And the other was the more safe one that I liked better, this kind of backline area. So again, you went for the more aggressive option, but before your team was really allowed to pursue that. So it's just a little bit, again, we're going back to the idea of just your spacing is very aggressive. And it's just a little bit unnecessary, right? Like there are times where, oh, you messed up your scatter arrow there. I would have liked to seen a deeper sonic arrow. Yeah. Nice left click. So, like I was saying earlier, right? So the thing with Hanzo is you can still apply a ton of pressure from a safer distance. So you're kind of losing a lot of that value by doing that. Yeah. So, cool. Cool. Hold on to your Dragon Strike. Your team's losing. Oh, I messed up your scatter there. Actually, let me see that again. Were you trying to bounce it off the... Oh, okay. I see what you're trying to do. Okay. You got a Reinhardt now. That's nice. Look for a scatter. Look for a scatter. There's actually someone in here. Oh, there's Tracer. So watch out for that Tracer right there in the middle of the screen. Oh, I would have liked to see you hold on to that for Tracer. Oh, she's right there. I think if you hold on to that, you probably, yeah, you probably can kill that Tracer because she actually was just standing like right there. Again, you're going for this really aggressive position, but like, you know, the payload's starting to fall back. So you probably like, because of where the fight is, again, you're being super aggressive here. I'd like you more on that far right. And then when your team starts to push forward more, then you can look for, you know, this area or that area on the far left. But where you are now, probably still can't be here, right? We'll see if it works though. I don't really like that scatter. I like that scatter more if you know where she is, right? Obviously. So this was kind of, I feel like you were trying to just try to get lucky. Not to mention your Sonic Arrow was just about to come up, so I feel like you could have been more patient there. I like that Sonic Arrow. That's a good Sonic Arrow. Nice. You could go. Oh. Ooh, run. Okay. Scatter. Yes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Obviously, we don't have to comment on that. Wait, what? I'm confused. Oh, you switched to Genji? Okay. Cool. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to wrap up this video. If you're starting to switch, yeah, I have some more VODs to do. Sorry I can't do more. But thank you. Thank you for the Hanzo review. I love it. I haven't done one. I hope to do another one. Maybe you can submit one in a few weeks again. So let's kind of wrap up this commentary. So mechanically, on point. The one thing I will say from your mechanics is I want you to look for deeper Sonic arrows. That's going to require you to be a little bit more patient with them. Your scatter arrows are on point. You had that one just now where you were trying to look for like a lucky one on Tracer. I'm not a huge fan of that. That being said, I don't hate it. Dragon Strikes are on point, except for just now when you jumped off and died. Okay, so now let's talk about by far your biggest weakness. It is absolutely your spacing. Far too aggressive. There are times where you can get aggressive like that, and it's usually when your team is starting to get kills and like you're starting to pick up a momentum, you're starting to snowball. But there's a fine line between that and like overextending, you know, out of line of sight of your teammates, and you know, too far into enemy territory where they're starting to respawn. So be very careful. I think if you just tone down this aggressive spacing style that you're doing and practice, because maybe your Hanzo isn't that great at a medium distance, so practice that. If you start to nail that down, boom, I could easily see you being closer to like a top 500 style Hanzo. So definitely work on that. Master that, and then you can go back to this kind of more aggressive style, and you'll learn when you can do both. But for right now, for the next like maybe 10 or 20 Hanzo games, try to restrain yourself and practice this longer distance style, and then you'll learn how to marry the two. Cool. That's the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please subscribe. Thank you.